I'm Abigail Hannaford-Ricardi, Children's Coordinator here at First Unitarian Church of Worcester. Has your family decorated Easter eggs this year? Do you know where that tradition comes from? Well, the Eastern Church holds that when Mary Magdalene and her friends went to visit Jesus' grave, she brought hard-boiled eggs with her to share with the ladies. But when she saw the risen Christ, the story says that the eggs turned bright red. Now you may also know that on the Passover Seder plate, a hard-boiled egg is always placed. And did you know that the Islamic Nowruz, or New Year's celebration, held each spring, includes dyed eggs that they use to decorate the table, along with spring grasses and goldfish in bowls of water? Well, I like to dye eggs, and here's one that I made many years ago. It has a date, 1999. Wow, but I wanted to show it to you because it's got different pictures on it. There's fire, there's air, there's water with fish jumping, and there's earth. Today's story comes from Russia. Now in Prussia, before all those other traditions I talked about started, way back thousands and thousands of years ago, people colored eggs to celebrate the spring. Let's hear a story.
Today's underlay has 4 parts. I wonder what it means. On the edge of a deep, dark forest, there once lived a young girl called Masha. Every day, her father would go into the forest to chop wood, while her mother would cook and sew. Masha herself looked after the hens, and every day she would go and collect their eggs in a little basket. Once a week, Masha's family took the eggs and the bundles of wood to the nearby market town to be sold. One day at the market, Masha saw a tiny box of paints for sale, and because her mother had sold all the eggs she had brought, she bought the paint box for Masha. When they got home, her father suggested to Masha that she might like to paint some of the hens' eggs. Why, the Tsar himself had a collection exquisitely decorated with gold and jewels. Masha loved to paint the smooth shells of the eggs, and sometimes, while the paint was drying, she would run off to play in the forest. Masha knew the forest around her home well, but one day she ventured further than usual and found herself deep in the heart of the forest where the old trees grew and the air was dark and still. She sat down on a mossy stone and wondered which way to go. Suddenly, from high above her, she heard someone calling her name. Masha. Masha looked up. In the gloom of the forest, a flash of brilliant feathers blazed out of the darkness. Fiery sparks of light fell cascading to the ground. Masha, said the Firebird, for that is who it was, I need your help. I am the guardian of the eggs of the 4 elements. Baba Yaga is trying to steal them, and if she does, she will gain all the power for herself. But how can I help? Asked Masha. The bird showed Masha its nest. 4 eggs lay nestled inside. If you paint them, I can hide them from Baba Yaga. Masha took the first egg, the egg of earth, and wrapped it carefully in her handkerchief. But how will I find you again? I don't even know the way home, said Masha. This feather will guide you, said the Firebird, plucking a small feather from its wing. Masha held up the feather, and immediately it lit up a path to her front door. center of the egg, she painted a large gray wolf. She could almost hear him padding off into the forest. Following the light of the feather, she took the egg back to the Firebird. Together, they went to the very heart of the forest, and the Firebird placed the egg deep in the hollow of a mossy bank. Later that day, when Baba Yaga was out collecting mushrooms, she passed close to the egg of earth, but she did not see it. When the Firebird saw the plan had worked, it gave Masha the egg of water. As Masha held it in her hands, she could hear the sound of water rushing down falls and the low, soft murmur of a faraway sea. This time, she painted the pale blue of streams and the deep azure of the oceans, and in the waters, rainbow-colored fish swam by pale pink shells and tangled water weeds. Once again, following the light from the feather, she took the egg back to the Firebird. Together, they went into the heart of the forest, and the Firebird placed the egg in a still, deep pool where it sank silently to the riverbed. Later that day, when Baba Yaga was out fishing for eels, she passed very close to the egg of water. But as before, she did not see it. The third egg was the egg of air. It felt light and fragile, and when Masha held it, she felt a soft, gentle breeze on her face. On one side of the egg, she painted a golden sun bursting through soft white clouds, and in the sky a giant eagle hovered. On the other side, she painted a still black night lit by a silver moon and tiny sparkling stars. Once again, the light of the feather led her back to the Firebird, and together they went to the edge of the forest. The Firebird flew into the sky and placed the egg deep in the clouds. Later that day, when Baba Yaga was flying in the sky collecting cobwebs, she passed very close to the egg of air. But, as before, she did not see it. Now only the egg of fire remained. This was the most precious of all, the Firebird's own egg. As she held it in her hands, Masha could feel the warmth and love that flowed from its small white shell. She mixed up the paints of crimson and vermilion colors from the very heart of the fire. She painted glowing coals and leaping yellow tongues of flames until the egg was ablaze with color, and her paint box was empty. Masha held the egg. It was very beautiful, so beautiful she wanted to keep it for herself. Why, the Firebird had 3 eggs already. Then suddenly the egg became too hot for her to hold, and she felt ashamed. She held out the feather and was just about to take the egg back when her mother called to her. Masha, be a good girl and take this basket of food to your father. Masha ran all the way there and all the way back. Then she went straight to the table where she had left the egg, but the egg of fire was gone. Masha turned to her mother and asked in a trembling voice, Mother, where is the painted egg that I left on the table? While you were out, an old woman came by to buy some eggs, said her mother. She saw your egg and admired it so much that I gave to her. You have so many, you won't miss this one. Masha stared in dismay. The old woman must have been Baba Yaga. She was very frightened, but she knew what she must do. She held up the Firebird's feather and said, Show me the path that leads to the house of Baba Yaga. Masha was led deep into the forest, keeping her eyes fixed on the light from the feather. She followed the path until suddenly it disappeared into the hedge of thorns, which completely barred her way. Masha tried to push her way through, but the needle-sharp thorns tore her hands and arms. Masha sobbed in despair. Then she heard the soft padding of feet, and a low voice said to her, Climb on my back, and I will leap over the hedge. Masha turned to see a large gray wolf. She sat on his back, and he leapt high over the hedge of thorns. Then he set Masha safely down and disappeared back into the forest. Masha ran quickly, but then had to stop for a second time. A fast-flowing river cut across her path. It was very deep, and Masha could not swim. "Hold on to my fin, and I will swim you across the river," said a quiet voice from the water. Looking down into the water, Masha saw a rainbow-colored fish rise to the surface. The fish carried Masha safely to the far bank, and then it sank back down into the waters. Masha ran on, but suddenly found herself lost in a swirling mist. Which way should she go? Above her came the sound of powerful wings beating the air, and an eagle lifted her high into the air and out over the mist. The eagle set Masha down by an old gate. Beyond the gate stood Baba Yaga. The old witch was as big as a mountain. She had great, thick arms with large, thick hands, and her mouth was a wide, dark cave, and it was full of large iron teeth. Bravely, Masha pushed open the gate and slowly walked towards Baba Yaga until the witch and the young girl stood face to face. "Have you come to fetch the egg, little girl?" sneered Baba Yaga. "Here it is in this basket. Come and get it, if you can." And she threw back her large, ugly face and laughed, her iron teeth glaring from her wide mouth. But Masha was still carrying the Firebird's feather in her hand, and holding it up high, she called out, "Dear Firebird, guardian of the eggs, come quickly to help me." From deep in the forest came a long answering cry, and a brilliant flash of light, and the Firebird burst from the trees. The laughter on Baba Yaga's lips died, and she reached out with her powerful arms to catch the Firebird. The Firebird did not try to avoid her grasp, and as Baba Yaga's hands tightened around it, the Firebird became a blazing mass of flames. Masha realized that this was her chance to rescue the egg. She ran to the basket and took the egg, just as Baba Yaga threw the Firebird to the ground. As the Firebird lay burning in its own flames, it called out to Masha, "Throw the egg into my flames." So Masha threw the egg deep into the heart of the fire, and as she did, the blazing flames engulfed everything around her. When Masha opened her eyes, night had fallen. She was lying all alone in a small clearing. Baba Yaga had vanished, and there beside her lay the cold, gray ashes of the Firebird and its eggs. Sorrow overwhelmed the little girl, and she lay on the soft earth, weeping until the tears would come no more. At last, far above her, the first rays of the morning sun awoke in the eastern sky. Then among another light caught Masha's eyes. A small flame sprang from the ashes. It was followed by another. The fire grew hot and bright, and then came the sound of an egg cracking open. In a flurry of fire and feathers, the Firebird was born anew from the flames. Masha laughed and clapped as the Firebird flew around her head, its shimmering tail feathers brushing her cheek. Finally, the Firebird flew away into the morning sky, and at her feet, Masha found a tiny box